Hello, YouTube. My name is Alan, and it's that time once again. Let's talk metal. At the time of recording, actually, I guess it's late May 2023. So, yeah, we've burned through about 5 months of the year. We're getting ready to head into June. And that means it's time for people to start thinking about their middle of the year best of 2023 lists. Yeah, 2023 is moving right along. And this got me thinking not so much about what's come out in 2023, but what came out in 2022 that I missed. This is always one of the problems with doing end of year lists, which I did like everyone else. I had a video for my favorite releases from 2022. It got a very good response. A lot of folks enjoyed that. Folks always enjoy those kind of lists. But one thing that always bugs me about making that kind of list is that in the back of your mind, as you're making it, you know that as soon as you're done with it, you're going to find another album that qualifies, that you really love, and it didn't make the video. And it's inevitable. It's going to happen. You can't hear everything in the year that it comes out. Some stuff is going to spill over into the next year, especially things that come out late in the year. Maybe it only came out in December. You didn't get to play it very much, or you didn't even get to pick it up until January or February. And then you realize that it's awesome and it should have been on your 2022 list. So for this video, I'm not going to talk about my favorites from 2023 so far. I'm going to try to put that off for at least a couple of more months. Instead, I want to talk about 5 really good albums that came out in 2022 that didn't get enough attention or that I completely didn't even know about until 2023. So that is what we're doing now, kind of an update to the best of 2022. 5 months after 22 ended. Hopefully somebody still cares. You should, because some of these albums are extremely good and just didn't get the attention they needed. Let's start first with this one. This is a new band called Clean Break. They're on, pretty sure it's Frontiers Records. Yeah, they're on the Frontiers label. That alone will tell you a lot about their sound if you're familiar with that label. The album is called Coming Home. It is winning no awards whatsoever for cover art or layout or design, but musically, this is quite good. The lineup here is what's interesting, and I'll go through it in a second. I'll mention that I did have this on my 2022 list, but didn't talk about it much. I had heard the album a few times, but I didn't actually get a copy of it until a little bit later. For some reason, this one was kind of expensive to buy when it came out. A lot of the places I saw it listed online, it was always like, $18.99, $21.99. And I'm just like, how much money do you people think a professor makes? I ain't paying $19.99 for a brand new CD. Not going to happen. I'm tired of eating cat food. I want human food and a CD that's about, $11.99, maybe $14.99, not $19.99. Screw that. So, but eventually it came down in price. And so now I've picked it up, played it more, and realized, yeah, this is actually quite good. And they've got a talented lineup. So they actually were nice enough to go ahead and label the pictures here. So easy to do. We've got Mike Flint's on guitar, excellent guitarist from Riot. Sometimes he doesn't get the attention or credit he deserves because, of course, he was playing with, Mark Reale in Riot all those years. But yeah, he's an excellent guitar player. You've got Perry Richardson and Robert Sweet, bass and drums from Striper. So the rhythm section comes from Striper, and folks have been really kind of, pleasantly surprised with how Striper have sounded in recent years. So that's your backline. And then you've got James Durbin from American Idol. He was the guy who sang with Judas Priest on American Idol. He was in Quiet Riot. I don't think he recorded anything with them, but he toured with them for a hot minute, maybe 2 hot minutes. But now, yeah, it's kind of fallen in here. So what you're getting is exactly kind of what you'd expect with this kind of pedigree of, Riot, Striper, Frontiers label. You're getting something that, is in that, hard rock metal kind of category. It's got enough metal, bite and pedigree to it to appeal to fans, but it's sticking to, those very traditional lanes. Recording is really good. Durbin's vocals sound quite good on it. A lot of good songs on it. It's a very consistent album, start to finish. I think there was only one track on it. I think it was actually, it may have been the title track that I thought was a little bit off. But yeah, song for song, this is quite good. So if you enjoy the work of any of these individuals, you'll probably enjoy the Clean Break album. And now that places are listing it for a more sane price, you can buy this and still buy ramen noodles instead of having to get, kitty treat hamburger helper, faux meat product for Fluffy and the pup. So yeah, Clean Break. Even though I'd mentioned it, now that I've gotten to play it a lot more, would be much higher up my best of 2022 list. Up next, we have, yeah, there's some really good ones here. So these aren't in any particular order because all of these are pretty fantastic. Next, we'll do this one, the Moonlight Sorcerer EP, Piercing Through the Frozen Eternity. This is a newer Finnish black metal band. They did 2 EP releases in 2022. This is the earlier one, the AKA Blue cover. And then they had a separate one come out later in the year called Night Winds, Conqueror from the Stars, and it had more of a red color scheme. So that's the red one. The blue one's the good one. Excuse me. This is one that I think was on my radar late in the year, but again, places were wanting to charge like $19.99, for it as a CD. I'm just like, I'm not going to my boss and ask for a raise with my only justification being I need some of that sweet, sweet Moonlight Sorcery money to spend. Who do these labels think they are? You're not Century Media. You ain't charging $45 for vinyl and $20 for CDs. Time to adjust reality a little bit, folks. Anyway, eventually, found a copy for a reasonable price and picked it up. It kind of got pushed, higher up the to get list when Kellen did his best of 2022 video series with S. Craig Zoller. That was a multi-part series. They went through and talked about a lot of albums in great depth. And if I'm remembering correctly, this was at the very top of Craig's list. If it wasn't the top one, it was maybe number 2. And what's happening with Moonlight Sorcerer on here that makes them, in particularly pretty interesting is vocal delivery is very much, kind of standard raspy black metal. The guitar playing is flat out European power metal Guitar Hero show off, like Rhapsody of Fire, Stradivarius kind of stuff. And that's a combination that at first doesn't sound so good. It's like, do you like ice cream? Sure. Do you like tuna fish? Yeah. Would you like tuna fish flavored ice cream? I don't think that's going to work. Yeah. Would you like black metal vocals on top of your complete guitar wankery show off solo shred? Well, now that I've heard it, yes, I would. I would like that, and I would like some more of that. It sounds a little strange, but the combination works really well on these tracks. The Red EP that came out later in the year doesn't seem to do it quite as well. It's something Craig had mentioned when he was talking about the album too, that he also got the second EP and says, and no, forget that one. That's not even close. And it's just like, really? It seems strange that the same band could do 2 EPs in the same year and one of them be glorious and the other be kind of or whatever. But yeah, I listened to the red one on YouTube before ordering it. It's just like, yeah, whatever. I'll keep that money and buy more human food. But I'll buy this CD because it's extremely good. Wish it was a full-length album. Hoping they'll put something out and kind of recapture the magic from this EP in particular, because it is a really cool kind of unique combination. You don't hear the guitars emphasized that way in black metal leaning projects. But hey, it worked. All right, up next, I got 3 incredible ones here. I'm going to do this one first because this was another one that I had heard a little bit and I mentioned in passing on my best of 2022, but I kept forgetting to order it when I bought stuff from the label. It's on the Riding Easy label, and it's Early Moods with their first full-length album. They had done an EP a year or 2 ago, and yeah, it was a pretty good EP. Very solid, traditional kind of doom metal band from California. Guys are on the back there. And yeah, you gotta love that fro, absolutely. And so when the album came out, it's just like, yeah, I think I previewed it once or twice. Like, yeah, it sounds pretty good. I'll order it next time I order a couple of things from Riding Easy. I ordered a couple of things and kind of forgot to put this in the cart. A couple months later, it happened again. So finally, early 2023 is like, this time I'm going to get it in the cart. They did one of their 30% off sales. Like, now, give this to me now. Take a couple other little things too. So we finally got to spin this more consistently, and damn, this is a good album. This is an incredibly good album. Every track on here, every single track, absolutely just smokes. It's nothing fancy. They're not doing anything crazy or unique like Moonlight Sorcerer a minute ago. This is just, straight ahead, old fashioned doom metal. It's got some Witchfinder General influence. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It's got some Black Sabbathisms. Absolutely, for sure. It's combining, those kind of just, your classic doom, headliners and just their interpretation of it. They're not adding or subtracting anything in particular, but the songwriting is great. All the instrumentation is done really, really well. Every track on this is just a banger. This has stayed in my CD player. I got this in January. This has been in my CD player for 4 months. Nothing stays in my CD player for 4 months. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but yeah, I tend to have a pretty high turnover rate on the playlist. This one keeps getting spun. All these tracks are great. Just the opening track alone, Return to Salem's Gate, is doom metal masterpiece. Big heavy riff, but then instead of staying at that same slow pace or even slowing it down, they switch to a separate riff. They're starting to pick up the pace, and then they do this really fast little drum roll before they launch into the first verse. That actually, the whole song is building momentum, not just plodding along or trying to maintain what it's done. Yeah, early moods. This is really good. If you like, your traditional Candlemass, yeah, again, Sabbath, Witchfinder General kind of doom metal, get this album. Absolutely. This is so good. I will buy a t-shirt from the band if they will put a decent t-shirt on Bandcamp. Once again, all they've got right now from Writing Easier Bandcamp are some kind of cruddy looking ones with the band logo and not much else. They've had some good looking shirts before from different tours, but they're all sold out. Make another shirt. I will buy it. And I'm not a person who buys shirts hardly ever because I don't have much opportunity to wear them. Um, but I will buy an Early Moods t-shirt to support the band. The album is that good. I will buy other merchandise from them. So yeah, Early Moods could have been in the argument for my favorite album from 2022 had I gotten to hear it more in 2022. There's 2 more in this category as well. Next up, an old favorite band of mine, and I just had no idea they released an album last year. It's House of Lords. They released an album called Saints and Sinners. Yeah, not a bad title, but a bit generic. I wonder how many different bands have released something called Saints and Sinners or Sinners and Saints over the years. There's no telling. Well, I could do the math, but I'm not going to right now. House of Lords, long running project in that more hard rock, leaning a little bit into metal and a little bit of AOR here and there. Started by I always butcher his name, Garufra, the keyboard player who was an Angel. He was on their first couple of albums, but then went on to other things. But House of Lords carried on. They made 3 albums in the late 80s, maybe into the earliest 90s. Broke up for a while. Then got back together in the early 2000s or very late 90s and have had a really good run of it. This is one of those rare cases where a reunion project worked out great and actually probably put out better stuff than they did originally. James Christian's a vocalist. He's always got a very unique voice. As long as he's singing for the band, I will check out whatever they put out. Some albums, of course, are better than others. The one that came out before this was a little bit average. It had a few good songs, but overall didn't quite click with me. So I wasn't expecting a ton with this one, but this one's amazing. There's been some lineup shuffling, which is pretty typical for House of Lords. They have guys kind of exit for a while and sometimes come back and sometimes leave again. So, James tends to be the one constant in the band, and some other guys rotating around. But on this one, they really, really hit it just right. One thing that helps a lot is there's a much more pronounced presence of keyboards in the band for the first time in a long time. They'd kind of gotten away from that over time, but let's flip the booklet open and get the name, Mark. So yeah, Mark handling keyboards here. It's not overdone. It's not a keyboard driven album, but he adds a lot of fun to the music. It livens it up quite a bit, and it works fantastic. It also helps that they just have a really good set of songs here. Some of these tracks are among the best the band has ever done. And I've got pretty much all their albums going back, to the very first one. So yeah, the title track is great. House of the Lord, which they did a music video for, is gorgeous. Let's see. Mistress of the Dark is a longer one at 7 minutes and has just an incredible chorus. Avalanche is a piano ballad, which, yeah, piano ballad may sound like a turnoff to most folks. It does kind of sound like a song someone like Adele could have sung, but James just blows it away here. It's a gorgeous song. It's the kind of song that he should get to sing in front of tens of thousands of people and make them all cry. It's just great stuff. There are a few songs that, again, lean a little heavier too. This is not a band that's ever going to, have a mad, rabid thrash attack, but they don't get radio play either. They're always in that in-between zone. But yeah, Saints and Sinners, one of the best albums of 2022, one of the best House of Lords albums ever recorded. Really cool to see that even after all these years, the guys can come up with something like that. And Mark, kudos on the keyboards. That really brought a great dimension to the band's sound that they haven't had as much of in recent albums. All right, that leaves album number 5, fifth, but certainly not last. One that I'm really kind of embarrassed I didn't know about. Had no idea this got released in 2022. It's the third album from Inexorum, entitled Equinox Vigil. Very cool cover. I like the color scheme on this. Very different, kind of colorful with the autumnal colors. Inexorum, of course, kind of melodic death metal, but black elements worked in there a little bit. Melodic blackened death metal. Think I strung those together in the right order? Yeah, if you're familiar with the band, you kind of know what to expect. Both the first two albums are very good, but this one I feel might be the best of the three. The songwriting is just very tight here. Production is great. Sticking to kind of their typical lyrical themes. They always have kind of an uplifting vibe to the stuff they write. It's the sort of overcoming adversity, but not in the really somewhat cheesy dragon force way of lift your sword high and fly on the wings of a dragon. And they managed to do it a little better than that. But yeah, great album. It did not get a CD release, and that may be, I want to blame that as the reason I didn't know about it, although that's not a good reason not to know about it. Sorry, getting a little dried out here. But yeah, still available on vinyl from the band on Bandcamp. I got this kind of cool gold and black vinyl pressing. I thought it looked kind of neat. See if I can get the gold color to show up. There we go. So yeah, kind of a liquid gold and black mix on it. They had a couple of other color variants too. I think one's orange, and then they also have black if you're not into colored vinyl. So yeah, excellent album. Carl was on Heavy Metallurgy with Marty and I a few months ago. He was on there with Tanner as well, about the time the Majesties album came out. And that, of course, made a lot of waves a month or two ago. It's going to be on a lot of people's best of 2023 lists, I'm sure. And I had just found out that, Carl had recorded this with Inexorum in 2022. I only realized it, a couple of days before the stream. So felt really bad, ordered it from him right away. And yeah, great album. It would have been in the conversation, probably my top 3 for 2022 if I were to do a revised list. So that is the end of the list. 5 albums that I just didn't know about or didn't get to play much in 2022 that have all been very, very good. I mean, I've mentioned 3 of these, the Inexorum, House of Lords, and Early Moods, could have been in the conversation for my best album of the year. And the Moonlight Sorcerer is fantastic. I probably wouldn't have put it at the top of the list since it was only an EP, but it would have gotten a ton of praise. So just goes to show that whenever you watch those, best of the year type videos, you got to keep in mind, nobody's heard everything. And, there's going to be stuff missing from those lists, things that would definitely have gotten included if they had arrived a little bit earlier or if we had noticed them. So figured it'd be kind of fun to go back and give some of these albums their due. They should have been in the best of 22 list. Now they're in the footnote appendix 5 months later as, among the best of 2022 for sure. All right. I have talked long enough. So let's now talk metal in the comments down below. What albums have you found from last year that you really, really love, but you didn't find them until 2023? I'm not the only person this has happened to. It's bound to have happened to many of you out there. So share some titles below. Because other people have probably missed some of these things too. If you didn't know that the House of Lords or Inexorum were out, or if you just haven't heard of Early Moods, by all means, check out. There's some excellent albums out there. There's always something cool to find and discover. Sometimes we just got to kind of nudge one another in the right direction. Be like, hey, did you realize this band put out an album last year? No, I didn't. Stupid me. Leave the comments, talk it over, share that information so other folks can go check out more cool music too. All right, that is going to do it for this time. So until the next video, everybody, take care. And as always, keep banging your head.